looking for updates from the National Weather Service. On my iPad right now as I'm with you, we've got a direct line of chat. But that said, let's talk about where it's going, where it is, and its speed. It's going northeast at about 40 miles per hour, which will place this near Windermere High School in about 4 minutes from now, Summerport Beach in about 5, Windermere in 5 minutes, Gotha in about 10 minutes from now, Ocoee. You'd have this, if it holds together, in your direction here in about 12 minutes from now, so about 9:12. Again, this tornado warning is in effect until 9:15. So this is a short fuse tornado warning. Often these tornadoes are weak, they're brief, and they only last for about 10 or 15 minutes, maybe a few radar scans. Putting this in motion, you can see there's a weak indication right here as it's coming up, right toward Disney, right there, that there is probably a brief rotation. So the rotating thunderstorm right now is located just west of Dr. Phillips. At this speed and direction, it'll be in Fuller's in about 15 minutes, and Ocoee High School also in about 15 minutes. All right, so let's zoom in and see if we can see any details beyond just the rotation there on the Doppler. And indeed, it's not showing too many signs of rotation here. There's certainly no debris being detected from this cell. Storm relative velocity, again, featuring just a weak rotation, but a rotation nonetheless from a storm that has a history of producing more convincing tornado signatures. So that's why the National Weather Service issued it. I've got Jessica Dobson here, our team coverage continuing. Jessica, what do you see there on the map?
So I wanted to see if we could punch up links 3 instead, because I put up a couple of cameras so that way we can get a better idea of what it looks like in that general area close to Disney. So if we are able to, there we go. You can see this is a shower or thunderstorm that we're seeing. This is the one that is associated with that tornado warning facing the direction. Obviously, it's going to be too hard to see anything if there is a tornado in place. So don't try to go out and see it. Just go ahead and take caution and do what you need to do to make sure you're staying safe. But you can see that we are just dealing with a lot of rain in that specific area, and we do have those specific spots that are under that tornado warning, which does include Disney there. So if we can go back to links 3, I do have another image I did want to show of some of the traffic in the area as well. We have one of our FDOT cameras that we did see that where we could see some of the very heavy rain, but if not, it's okay. It's on I-4. But I'll send it back over to you, Brooks. I'm going to go try to find some more cameras to see what we can find across the area. Okay, Jessica, thank you very much. Yeah, so I just heard back from the National Weather Service, and they said that they issued the tornado warning for through 9:15 for this area. This is going to be now sort of approaching Windermere. I'm going to circle it here for a rotational speed of about 60 miles per hour, which is not really fast, but it's fast enough to cause some damage, certainly to trees and some weak structures. If indeed there's a tornado, it may just be clouds rotating, which is very common within tropical rain bands of the sort we're seeing. And right now the rain is coming down really hard. One of the things we're looking for is signs of rotation. Is the rain wrapping around a common center of rotation? And it very well could be in this location, at least upper level rotation. So this is going to be near Windermere High School at this time, west of Chase Road, Fique Road, and south of Lake Butler. So I'm going to zoom out one more time, show you this storm relative velocity to see if we can get you beat on this. And sometimes it's good to get out ahead of these because you can have rotation that spins up really quickly, but it's at that point doesn't necessarily present as a tornado, but it had the ability to, or has the ability to, in the minutes to follow. So let's get a speed on this. So we know that it's located in this general direction, at least the earlier rotation detected, and moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. That's going to place it in Ocoee in about 8 minutes from now. So we have seen couplets, as they're called, these gate-to-gate shear, where you have the red and the green touching, and each color is really bright. It's sort of like where you max out your RPMs on a car, and that would tell you have a big, strong rotation. With this one, it's a weak rotation, and it's only actually being detected by the airport radar, by MCO, not by the Melbourne radar or by our radar. So it's very weak in that sense. But sometimes you can have these quick spin-up tornadoes that are essentially under the radar with this tropical type convection and what would essentially be, yes, a tropical tornado, which are generally weak. I'm going to walk over to this computer briefly and see if I can adjust one element to bring up our other radar product and get an idea here, scoop on what we may be looking at here. So let's see, stand by as I bring this up, and we go to our airport radar, and in doing so I can also click on the velocity and get an idea. Stand by if we can see anything here of interest, and I don't see anything. Wait, here we go. Okay,
Got it right here. Yeah, I'm going through the radar products live with you on the air right now. This is how we analyze. Okay, here we go. Finally got it up, and we'll put this one in motion. So this was the radar that detected the earlier tornado signature. It was a weak rotation, about a 60 mile per hour, 25 knot. Gate to gate shear, so about 50, 60 miles per hour, right around Magic Kingdom, and that's rolling north toward Windermere. Again, this expires at 9:15 officially, but it looks like it may be for the most part falling apart. Of interest, though, also monitoring some gustier winds around Champions Gate. Although this area is not rotating at this time, it would be right here. This radar site is located at the airport, so in this case, it would be winds. Right here, winds going away from the radar here and toward the radar here. So there could be maybe a weak rotation trying to develop, but this is mostly just a sign of some gusty winds here southwest of Disney. So, tornado aside, we're going to have the possibility here, especially near Champions Gate, of some pretty gusty winds. But yeah, it's interesting to see how this is all coming together and shaping up in these subtleties in the radar presentation. So we'll go back to our reflectivity and get an idea of what we're facing with this cell. At the very least, these feeder bands leading into tropical storm, actually I say Hurricane Debby, about to become a tropical storm, can have a lot of spin with them. Essentially what happens is that at the surface you have a south wind, and aloft you have a southeast wind, and so there's an inherent spin that can happen with the collision of those wind directions, and indeed resulting in a possible tornado. And in this case, radar indicating, and the radar text there at the National Weather Service in Melbourne, indicating the possibility of some rotation within this cell. So that said, let's zoom in and see some of the areas that are currently being affected by this. And this is going to be just southwest of Windermere. So if you're watching from Windermere, in a case like this, it's better safe than sorry. You don't want to try and go out there and see the thing because it's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be wrapped up in rain. There's rain out ahead of it. You're not going to see it. It may be the kind of thing where it blows around some trampolines, knocks over some fences. If it's a tornado that's actually reaching the ground, it may just be a funnel cloud. It may be a rotation within the cloud, but safety first on this one. So if you're in Windermere, heads up, take shelter from this one. Advise that you go to an interior room in your house, maybe a utility closet, just have the TV on loud enough to hear the warning and all that stuff. But also understand that this is going to expire in less than 10 minutes from now, as it looks like a lot of the rotation may be lifting back up into the cloud. But this is squarely in the heart of where a lot of us live here in the Windermere area, just west of downtown Orlando. There's also a lot of thunder lightning with this, and there's also a lot of wind with this down toward Champions Gate. So with this location and with this speed, if it holds together, it's going to approach Windermere High School inside of 1 minute from now. Fuller's in about 12 minutes, and Claricona in 17 minutes. Let's take a look here, Windermere Prep here. We got the camera up there. Okay, off to the side there. Yeah, so you can see the rain really coming down there. I'm looking at it with you right now on the screen. And 429 is the image at the bottom, just to show you what's going on in that neighborhood. Overall, we're getting some just torrential rain out of this. So tornado aside, there will be impacts here with gusty winds and rain coming down at a rate of about 2 or 3 inches per hour. So this tornado warning was issued at the very subtle but keen observation of a little bit of rotation near Disney that was moving northeast, a rotation of maybe about 50 or 60 miles per hour in the cloud, and a rotation that can quickly touch down, even if briefly, before pulling back up into the clouds. No debris to see on our debris finder at this point, and that's good news. As far as the triple threat from this, the main threat is at this point the rain coming down about 1 inch per hour, according to that latest scan. So back to our base velocity and back to the likelihood of any kind of rotation. That likelihood now is falling apart. If anything, it'd be near Gotha at this point. So let's zoom in and see the latest on this with our tornado warning that expires here in about 7 minutes from now. West Orange High School, Ocoee, this would be the place where we're catching the most rotation. But I really want to reiterate, as far as tornado warnings go, this one isn't concerning me at this point as far as tornado warnings can be concerning. I mean, we're tracking this thing, but oftentimes with a cell that's producing tornadoes, it's part of a line of other storms, and within this line we can see other tornadoes popping up, right? These storms enter that same environment where you're getting a south wind at the surface and a southeast wind aloft feeding into the hurricane to the northwest, so you get that inherent spin. And indeed, this cell right here, moving out of Four Corners into Disney, might be showing some signs of some rotation. That said, I'm looking at the latest from the National Weather Service on this to see if there's any update, but we'd have to watch out for that possibility. And putting this in motion the last few frames, there may be a sign of just a little bit of subtle rotation there. So that said, Jessica, nope, I thought I had Jessica here. Okay, we're getting the latest update from Melbourne, and I'll let you know when that comes out. But I just want to reiterate that this tornado warning expires here inside of the next 6 minutes or so, about 9:15. Producing a lot of lightning. If you're heading out on the roadways, it's really not recommended. I mean, it's just pouring outside. A lot of lightning, a lot of wind gusts over 40 miles per hour out there. And these are all feeder bands going right into the heart of this weakening hurricane up in the Panhandle. The hurricane itself is going to produce rain that could easily surpass rates of some 3 inches per hour as we look at the state as a whole, and you can see the bigger picture, how this is all feeding in to that main circulation. So I'll let you know if anything changes. But Jessica, what do you see right now?
So the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. They say that's according to the National Weather Service. They say the earlier rotation has weakened, so it is now no longer a warning.
Great. So real subtle features here, and it just goes to show you when you have these tropical systems, it's real quick-lived. I mean, these are 5 or 10 minutes long, and it's the kind of thing where it can impact a neighborhood, or even just one block in a neighborhood.
Right, and they happen so quickly too. I've had a couple of people even text me as well, asking if they need to take shelter, things like that. But I mean, these are so quick, and there are so many small little kinks in the line that can create these very quick spin-up tornadoes, or even just create that rotation on the signature on the radar. It doesn't last very long, but if there is ever a tornado warning issued for your specific area, it's always a good idea to make sure you are seeking shelter as needed. But Brooks, it looks like you have something else you want to show us.
Yeah, well, we're looking at we're now, there are no more tornado warnings in place right now. The tornado warning has just been allowed to expire unless a new one's coming down right now. We hear the sounds beeping, which is our little indication. But on our National Weather Service chat right now, we're not. But you know what? This is the old warning from 9:15. So I think the Weather Service just telling us that they allowed it to expire early. Here we are at 9:10, so 5 minutes before the original expiration. I think that's why these warnings are kicking back in, because once it goes through the system and it says, it's until 9:15. If they expire it early at 9:10, the automated system will trip every 5 minutes to let you know that there's a tornado warning. But the National Weather Service has now expired this tornado warning. It's no longer in effect. We do have what's called a special weather statement for the Orlando area, and that is for general wind gusts that could surpass 50 miles per hour or maybe even 40 miles per hour in these storms. But just to confirm, the tornado warning now has been canceled by the National Weather Service. At this point, we're just tracking what could be some wind gusts exceeding 40 to 60 miles per hour. I mean, certainly when we're talking about a tropical system and feeder bands that are leading into the parent hurricane, I mean, there's going to be spin and there's going to be winds. It almost is kind of interesting where you can be 150 miles outside of the hurricane, but the feeder bands can mimic tropical storm force conditions where all of a sudden it goes from a lull to everything really blowing around and really kicking in. And you can see the cameras there. I mean, it's a gray and rainy Monday otherwise, so it's just a matter of tracking these brief spin-up rotations as they push through the region. Let's put this map in motion and see if there's anything new to show you that's popped up in the last few scans. Of course, the first thing we do is locate where it is, then we track where it's going, and then we look for debris or impacts or actual wind gusts. We measure what's going on inside the storm. And while this tornado warning has officially expired, per the National Weather Service about 3 or 4 minutes ago, our region is under what's called a special weather statement, which is kind of like not a severe thunderstorm warning, but a heads up that, hey, we could have some big wind gusts out of this, 40 miles per hour. You might see your power flicker. But the good news is that the tornado threat has ended. So that's something to keep reiterating in case you're just joining us right now and you're seeing the scroll on the bottom of your screen. That said, I'm looking for signs of rotation. And at this moment, there are no signs of rotation. So that is very good news. And as I had said before, as we look around the state right now and we check out our radar, we've got a hurricane that has made landfall officially as of 7 a.m. right here in the Steinhatchee area. That is right here in the right on the border really of Dixie County and Perry County. So it's going to be in this exact location. And so the hurricane at this point is starting to lose its structure as it heads slowly northeastward toward Brunswick, Georgia. And in doing so, it will become a tropical storm by this afternoon. And while it's made landfall, and while it's now officially weakening, it's down to 75 miles per hour as of the latest indication, it will still pack a punch with these rounds of rain for Orlando. And while Orlando has certainly seen our share of rain, we really haven't had the heart of an actual real bona fide feeder band yet. And it looks like we're starting to catch that for the first time right now. And so we're going to have to watch out for the possibility of these sporadic tornado warnings popping up now through at least the early part of this afternoon. And wind gusts of 30, maybe up to 50 miles per hour and some of the heaviest rain. And of course, the flash flooding considerations. You may be seeing all these flash flood warnings here in the Tampa Bay region. These in effect till 11 a.m. That's because they've had very many inches of rain, anywhere from 4 to as many as 10 inches of rain in the Tampa Bay region over the last 24 hours. And then on top of that, any more tropical rain that falls really doesn't have anywhere to run off to, so it just puddles. And so that's why they maintain the flash flood warnings there. Now for our region here in Orlando, here we are at 9:14. You'll see this box disappearing in a couple of minutes here, the tornado warning box disappearing. The warning is now officially over. There's no more tornado warning, but it's a sign that we'll need to watch these storms. And looking at our rotation product, there is arguably a little bit of rotation here showing up just west of Disney, not related to the original tornado warning, but just what's inherent in some of these tropical downpours and tropical lines. And the rotation would be like this. So we'd see roughly here, and this would be in the clouds, by the way, near Magic Kingdom. But folks there are definitely taking cover, not just from the rain and also the lightning threat, but also now this tornado warning that has now just expired as of 9:15. But we have to watch to see if new ones are placed and what the line will represent, because this same cell is traceable all the way back to Polk County inside of the last hour. In fact, as you trace the cell back to Polk County, it had prompted a tornado warning in Polk City, and then earlier, even farther southwest than that, as you got in toward the Lakeland area. So if you just follow the path on this one, and you also interpolate where this cell may be going, well, right now it's not producing a tornado, but as it works northeastward toward Winter Park, Altamont Springs, and possibly up toward Winter Springs and Sanford, we'd have to watch for the possibility of maybe another tornado warning coming up. But one thing that I didn't calculate in showing you that interpreted line is that this stuff is rotating to the northwest toward the center of that hurricane, right? So actually, this would probably work more toward Gotha and Claricona and Bay Ridge. So here I am analyzing it in real time with you, and that's the latest. So we are in the clear for right now. The tornado warning is over. And David, I guess should I toss it back to Ryan, or do you want me to jump into the forecast as a whole since it's 9:15? All right, Ryan, I'd stand by. I'm going to toss it back to you. I think I've talked long enough.
Yeah, Brooks, thanks. It's been a busy stretch, and we'll continue to watch that right now. You can see the scene behind us, but we're going to take a quick break. Much, much more to bring you.
If you are relying on Amazon reviews to help you decide on a purchase, heads up. According to FakeSpot, the following categories are the most likely to have bogus or biased feedback. Watches, Christmas decor, watch bands, sweaters, and pullovers. But the top spot for fake reviews, slippers. FakeSpot says 71% on Amazon have fake reviews, with thousands of products and barely any name brands. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Join forces with the Fox 35 Backpack Brigade.
We're going to mobilize for school supplies.
Collect school supplies, drop off donations, make a difference.
The Fox 35 Backpack Brigade. Friday, August 2nd at this Walmart Supercenter.
To get the most out of your cell phone battery, consider shallow charging. Instead of draining your battery to 0, recharge it 50%. When you charge it up, stop at about 90%. Once a month, you should run it down to 5% and recharge so it can recalibrate its self-assessment. When charging is done, remove your phone from the charger. Electronics will age faster if they're left plugged in when fully charged. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense to save you some money on groceries. Use the self-checkout rather than the cashier. A study by IHL Consulting found it reduces impulse buys 32% among women and 17% among men. There's less merchandise at the register, and you pay more attention to that total.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. A new survey of 14,000 people found that their definition of old age went from anywhere from 71 to 74. Now, how do you stay young forever? Don't isolate yourself. Be with people. Exercise. Eat the right foods and have a positive attitude, and you will find the fountain of youth. I'm Dr. Mike Strickland, and I'm with the Fox Medical Team.
I'm deeply connected to my family's history and culture, and that's why I love living in Orlando. I love trying out different restaurants, dishes, small shops, really just creating those special moments with me and my fiance. I'm a people person, and that's why I love it here. In the morning, every minute matters, and as a traffic anchor, I'm going to help you save some time. I'm a human GPS. I can't help it. Every morning when you're drinking your coffee or you're crunching your cereal, turn on Good Day Orlando.
Around the clock.
Depend on us, the Fox 35 Storm Team.
First, wake up with me on Good Day Orlando. I'll prepare you for your day ahead so you have everything you need before you head out the door.
Then when the day winds down, join me weeknights on Fox 35 News. Get a look ahead at tomorrow and know what's coming. Then relax and enjoy your night.
No matter what the weather throws your way, from morning
to night, depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
Fox 35 News starts now with a storm alert.
Well, you are watching Good Day Orlando at 9 o'clock this morning. I'm Deborah Cho in for Amy.
Deborah, good to be with you. I'm Ryan Elijah. It's been a busy hour. We want to get you a different perspective on Hurricane Debby as well. Fox's Kelly Cowan is near Sunset Beach. That's in Pinellas County. Kelly, good morning. What are you seeing over there?
Good morning to you. Well, the good news here is that the sand dunes that they've been working very hard on replenishing throughout the year have actually held out here. So the streets are fairly dry out here at Sunset Beach. That not necessarily the case for past storms. And you can see just how high the water levels are. Of course, the wind is coming to us onshore this morning. So these water levels coming up to this outdoor dining area, right into that dining area. Normally we'll have about 30 to 40 yards of beach here, but with the onshore winds just pushing the water up onto shore, that is certainly not what we're getting out here this morning. And we've just been getting band after band of rain come through here, rain and, of course, the heavy winds. In fact, if we swing it around out here, and this might not look like much to those who are familiar with the East Coast and maybe used to some more formidable waves, but this is certainly some tough stuff for the Gulf. And you can see another band that looks like it's about to come onshore out there, all that gray sky out into the Gulf. And if we bring it over here, this is some of the beach renourishment project that I've been talking about. So tens of millions of dollars committed to Pinellas County beaches after Idalia came through last fall. And that's because many of these beaches had to close down. These dunes just completely swept away after Ian and Idalia just pounded this area. So they put a lot of money and resources into building the dunes back up, replanting the sea oats out here. And we can see just how high the water levels came up earlier. We had low tide around 5 a.m. this morning. Believe it or not, high tide around 5 a.m. Believe it or not, this is supposed to be about low tide for this morning, but that certainly is not apparent when you look out at just how high the water is right now. But the dunes appeared to have held, and we're not seeing the flooding in the streets that we've seen over the last few years when we've had bad storms out here. So things looking pretty good. This area weathering the storm pretty nicely. And then throughout the rest of Pinellas County, we have had some issues in the typical spots where we'd expect. So Tarpon Springs being one of them, some flooding in downtown Tarpon Springs around the sponge docks there, and then also some spot neighborhood flooding as well in low-lying areas next to water. Again, those trouble zones where the neighbors there, they know to move their cars to higher ground, they know to prepare for that kind of thing, and that's exactly what we saw this morning. A lot of that water receding once everything started to die down, but out here at the beaches, as I mentioned, because you have that onshore wind just pushing the water up at us, directly at us right now, that's where we're seeing some pretty looks like high tides, but I assure you this is not supposed to be high tide, and that's what we're dealing with out here. So really just at this point a wind event and then on and off rains. Guys.
I'm really glad that they are doing okay over there, because it could be a much different picture, that's for sure. Thank you, Kelly. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, low tide like you've never seen it before. We are getting the rain here in Seminole County as we have for a while. Let's check in with David Martin in Levy County. He has been watching this come in Cedar Key. And obviously, David, the water is up there.
It certainly is, but things also are receding here because of low tide. And I will say this, we'll take it. We'll take the break. No more rain coming in. Just a lot of heavy wind, though, still. This is the Gulf of Mexico. We find that when we stay higher for our broadcast, we have better signal, better chances of staying on the air, and I can hear you guys as well. When we get lower and more toward Dock Street, there on the Gulf is when I struggle. But on the backside here, which would be on the east side of our property here, which is the Island Place condominiums on First Street, you can see this is First Street right here, and the parking lot still submerged in water, still flooding. It's definitely gotten better. It's receded probably about a good foot over the past hour and a half. But it's still gnarly. We've been taking a tour by foot when we can around the city. A lot of residents have come out of their houses to assess the damage, the cleanup that faces them over the next day or so. And it's exactly what you'd expect. A lot of yard debris, palm fronds, pieces of the roof, gutters, siding, just strewn about. But overall, though, the collective thought here from the people we've talked to is a sigh of relief. Not near as bad as the Dahlia. This is the pool deck that we've been looking at all morning long here. Let's see if I can get this in here. It's made of some kind of, I guess a manufactured wood of some sort. But all morning we've been seeing the west side of it just come under fire from the heavy surge and the wind there. So there's going to be some repair in the future of the Island Place pool. They had just cleaned up and renovated after a Dahlia last year. So a lot of these folks are just frustrated with the fact that the frequency of these storms puts them at a disadvantage financially as well. A lot of folks cancel their plans to come out here to Cedar Key and enjoy what is a beautiful staycation spot, especially for those of us who live inland. So at this point, calmer winds, no more rain, receding of waters. This is a sign that we are going to get back to normal to some degree here in Cedar Key. Ryan and Deborah, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
David, what an improvement, though, from just an hour ago with that low tide.
Yeah, even just like he wouldn't have been able to stand there, a couple of hours ago, that's for sure. So, all right, David, thanks so much. Yeah, we're definitely getting the rain here in Lake Mary, that's for sure. Don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Around the clock.
Depend on us, the Fox 35 Storm Team.
First, wake up with me on Good Day Orlando. I'll prepare you for your day ahead so you have everything you need before you head out the door.
Then when the day winds down, join me weeknights on Fox 35 News. Get a look ahead at tomorrow and know what's coming. Then relax and enjoy your night.
No matter what the weather throws your way, from morning
to night, depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
Hi, I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense to save you some money on travel. Before you book your next flight, check out the new Airline Customer Service Dashboard. It's on transportation.gov. If your flight is delayed or canceled, it'll show you which airlines will rebook you for free, plus which airlines will offer free hotel or meal vouchers if you get stuck. That's a big savings.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
No matter how old or young you are,
I'm that grandfather that's going to make it happen.
Classic Gen X overachiever.
You can still become America's next master chef.
I'm a millennial. I'm not worried about the thing.
Gen Z, we have nothing to lose.
I feel like this dish is giving me a hug.
I don't usually cook with alcohol. I'm mostly drinking it.
Millennial! Gen Z.
Oh, which generation is going to win it all?
MasterChef Generations. All new Wednesdays on Fox. Anytime on Hulu.
I'm Carl Ellenberg, Chief of Police.
How are your murders?
Unsolved. I can always tell when somebody's lying to me.
9:28. Here's another look at the Fox 35 Storm Tracker radar. Of course, watching Hurricane Debby move up the Gulf Coast, hitting Florida earlier about 7 o'clock. We've got live TV coverage of this morning's top story. That would be the hurricane. We'll continue to follow that. Look at the many different aspects of that when we come back.
This fall, TV's #1 new game show is back.
Who will conquer the floor?
More players, more money, more duels.
Shoot.
The Floor premieres September 25th on Fox.
Central Florida Eats is now streaming on Fox Local. Every episode, go inside a new restaurant. From tacos to seafood to the best burger for your bite. Just download Fox Local now.
What should my kids wear tomorrow?
Temperatures are going to be starting in the mid-50s, but it's going to be really warm tomorrow afternoon, so maybe just a light jacket.
I need to walk my dog. Will it rain tonight?
The good news about dog walking tonight, showers in the western part of the state will not impact Central Florida.
Can I take my boat out Saturday?
Onshore flow really picks up in the afternoon, and seas are going to get quite choppy by late in the day.
Noah knows. Watch Noah Bergeron weeknights on Fox 35.
Hey, I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense to save you some money on groceries. Use the self-checkout rather than the cashier. A study by IHL Consulting found it reduces impulse buys 32% among women and 17% among men. There's less merchandise at the register, and you pay more attention to that total.
If you're not streaming Fox 35 on Fox Local, you're missing out. Yeah, we got your news and weather, but there is so much more. Every night, stream Fox 35 Originals, politics in the battleground states, newsmakers shaping our community, strategies to save your family money, secrets for your next trip to the theme parks, go backstage with celebrities. Plus, for sports fanatics, it's game on. Download Fox Local and start streaming now.
Starts now with a storm alert.
Well, welcome back to Good Day Orlando, everybody. It is 9:30 on this Monday morning. I'm Deborah Chow.
I'm Ryan Elijah. Very busy morning as we track the hurricane. Let's bring in Brooks right now and see the very latest. Brooks, we're obviously feeling the rain here in Seminole. You can see that behind you.
Oh yes, there's a what's the term I'm thinking of? There's a reality that people maybe don't realize that you can have a hurricane that's 200 miles away, but if you're under one of the feeder bands leading into the hurricane, it's like it transports its weather right to your backyard. I think the word I was trying to find was the fallacy that's the case. And in this case, we've got a landfalling hurricane way up in the Big Bend. It's currently near Perry up in Taylor County. That's kind of near Tallahassee, but it's got a tail that goes all the way back through Seminole County into Orange County and back down through Fort Myers. It's a big straw sucking Gulf moisture all the way through, and all the while it creates downpours and it can rotate, producing brief tornadoes. We had that tornado warning earlier on the southwest side of Orlando near the parks, and that has expired. That expired, by the way, at 9:15, and it was not verified. It was just a quick spin up. But you can get these little spin up tornadoes. That was the location of it. And now we're catching the full force of a tropical downpour, bringing rainfall at over 3 inches per hour. This will lead to flood advisories advisories. We've had flash flooding all over the Tampa Bay region, and we're just going to be in it all day today, periodically. It's not going to rain like this all day, but all day there will be the chance for rain, and we'll get breaks of a couple of hours. You know, after this one rolls through, we're probably going to be pretty quiet through lunchtime, but then it could pick up once again once we get into the next band and it heats up a little bit with a little bit of the sunshine. It's just going to be a real tropical day today. Bad hair day, to say the least, on a comic note, I guess you could say. But look at all this rain. It is just pouring here. Super humid as well. Ocoee to Disney up through Oak Ridge. The kind of rain where it's slowing down traffic big time on the roadways. And back toward the west, you can see all the rain that awaits here in the Gulf. This feeder band traceable all the way out to the open Gulf, going through our region into Gainesville and feeding into the hurricane. And it's also producing what's called a tornado watch. This means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes for our whole viewing area, except for Brevard County, kind of right on the edge of things. But as those bands come through, they can rotate because at the surface, winds are out of the south, but aloft, winds are out of the southeast. So there's an inherent spin that can happen. Well, the system right now, a hurricane, is weakening. It's over land. It made landfall near Steinhatchee at 7 a.m. in Taylor County, right on the Taylor-Dixie County line. The hurricane warnings remain. Tropical storm warnings in red as close as Lake County. This moving northeast at 10, but it's going to slow down. And this is where things get bad as far as the system is not done yet. It's not like a typical hurricane where it dies out and goes away. This thing is sitting over the low country of South Carolina by tomorrow, and in doing so, essentially stalls, dumping anywhere from 20 to 30 inches of rain to parts of South Carolina, from Columbia, possibly south through Orangeburg, South Carolina, Sumter, Florence, Myrtle Beach, down through Beaufort and Charleston. So, I mean, this is going to be a big situation for them. Also, southeast Georgia and the Piedmont and North Carolina. All right, let's talk about the forecast for the rest of today. Give you an idea of the future radar. We've got this one band moving through now. We may catch a break through 2, and then another band coming through about 3 o'clock. After that moves through, we may catch a brief break before yet another band through 6. So intermittent downpours, I think, is the best way to describe it. As this slowly departing hurricane moves north and east, it's going to bring with it the feeder bands, but those feeder bands are going to be feeding through Orlando the whole time. So there are some people saying, well, wait a second, you guys are covering our hurricane that's in the Panhandle. Well, first of all, we have a viewing area that goes all the way up there. Our viewing area, in case you didn't know, goes all the way up to Dixie County. We've got WOGX Fox 51. But that said, beyond our big reach, the system has a bigger reach. And in fact, 7 to 10 inches of additional rain could fall under these bands somewhere in the region. And it's hard to say exactly where because the position of these feeder bands can change so much. But to give you an idea, if you're getting 3 inches of rain in an hour, and even if you get a break for a couple of hours and rains again, you could get another 3 inches, and then that adds up really quickly. All right, that is the latest with this system right now. Obviously, I'm going to step off to show you the big picture on this thing. It's absolutely encapsulating the entire state. So while the center of circulation is up here, I mean, its influence goes from the Keys all the way up to Jacksonville into the Carolinas right now. So it's a big system, and it's a rainy one. And Ryan and Deborah, I think the legacy of this isn't so much going to be the wind impacts, because it was only in Category 1. It'll be the rain. This is going to be known as a real rainy system.
Yeah, it's a great point. And that's what we heard from the governor's office about 2 hours ago. The safety coming out of this with the rain, with the wet roadways. That's what we've got. We're checking it with Matt right now, who was driving before. They've been rolling around in the Thunder Truck. And Matt, you're in Lake County. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, we're in downtown Claremont right now, and we've still got these gray, oppressive skies, but not as much rain. So the last time I checked in with you, I said it was misting out, and that is still the case. We just got a lot of misty downpour right now. It's just tiny water droplets, not very big, not doing a whole lot in terms of, creating any kind of flooding risk or anything like that around here. Right now, it tends to kind of go and come with the wind. It's actually picking up a little bit as I'm speaking, and you can look out and you can see how fast those clouds are moving, right sweeping through the area here. You can even see through some of them to some of the lighter sky beyond that. So it looks like that's the way it's going to stay, at least for now. Just this kind of light, gentle breeze that's pushing those clouds quickly, and this misty downpour that we've been seeing all morning since we came down the I-75 corridor and passed from Marion through Sumter into Lake County now. It hasn't created any significant backups that we saw on the road. There's a gentleman down there who's picking up some of the debris, but it doesn't look like it's a significant amount of it. So as far as your the morning commute went, and as far as conditions now, it is looking rainy. It's looking pretty dull and miserable, but certainly not an event that has anything that I would describe as catastrophic in any way. Just a rainy Monday morning, the way things are looking right here in Claremont. Reporting live, Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
All right, thanks so much, Matt. We're going to send things out to Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie, who continues our team coverage in Brevard County, where some RVs were also damaged. Amanda, how are things looking there?
Oh, I mean, you can still see the damage right behind me, but right where I'm standing is where one RV was sitting. This is where the front door was, and it flipped a few times before landing over here upside down. And there was a dog, a 2-year-old dog named Tucker, trapped inside. But we can now report he is doing well this morning and happy to be reunited with his mommy and daddy. We have Josie and Dylan here, and you say you arrived here 15 minutes after this happened. You could have very easily been inside of this RV at the time.
Yes, ma'am. We could have. It's scary to know that we could have easily been inside, and we're very blessed to be here, for sure.
And we were able to look inside and get a look at just how crazy it looks in there with everything thrown about. I mean, you could have been severely injured. And in fact, your next door neighbor was inside and injured in his own RV. What have you heard about him?
I've heard that he is in the hospital with minor injuries, but he seems okay. His back was hurting, but again, our community is amazing. They got him out. They flipped the camper back over and got him out and helped him be able to go to the hospital, and that's really important. They saved my dog. So the community we have here is amazing, and I just hope that we can stay positive about this and try to get some relief, as you know, our home is lost, and it's just we're very blessed to still have our family intact, and the community helped amazingly.
Absolutely, and you're one of 5 RVs in the neighborhood that was affected just by the outer bands of Hurricane Debby. And right now they're saying it could be straight line winds, it could be a tornado, but your neighbor Bree over there, who we spoke with, says it didn't sound like a tornado, but it struck like a tornado.
Right, it was so loud, and the way they described how quick it was, I just feel like it had to have been a tornado. It was so quick. And they said it was at least 10 seconds at the most, and everything was toppled down. And when they looked back outside, everything was over, and the wind was, the wind or whatever it was gone already. So I just feel like tornadoes move fast, and I just feel like one whipped through here and tore up and did some damage. And that picnic table was actually over here, and it's over there and split. So I just feel like, you know, I feel like a tornado would have to do that type of damage for sure.
It's very significant. And Dylan, I mean, this was where you were staying as well. What will you all do now? This was your home.
Like, I don't know. Just take it day by day. Just whatever God has in store for me. That's what I'm going off of right now. There's nothing else I can do. You know, just this is where I was living, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. And your neighbors, fortunately, were so quick to respond in this instance, to want to help each other. So that is something to really be truly thankful for during times like this, when so much can happen in such a short amount of time. And you said this is your family member, this is your baby, and I mean, that moment you were describing to me when you were coming around in the car, thinking the worst.
It was gut-wrenching. I don't think I'll ever forget the screams that were coming out. It was like it came down deep. I was terrified. It was like a nightmare. And anyone that has dogs, or a cat, or any type of animal, or even a human, will understand. It's gut-wrenching. It's just something you don't want to picture, and I know that they would have reacted the same way. I was ready to go in there and get him out.
Of course, and you said you work in a veterinarian's office, so you're going to get him checked out today.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to get him checked out to make sure he's okay. So far, he seems okay. Maybe just a little bit of labored breathing. I don't know if he breathed in, something from the incident. But flipping a few times in a house is something that should be checked on for sure. Just his well-being.
Well, we're so happy all of you are doing well, and that Tucker has been reunited with you, and you have some great neighbors that you can call friends here. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Amanda, I think you came through with the best story of the morning. We love seeing Tucker. I can only imagine what Tucker went through, but it's so great that he's fine.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to ask Tucker those questions.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
All he's thinking now, I'm just glad my family's back.
Exactly.
Amanda, thanks.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. Thank you, Amanda, and we will be right back.
Are you tired of gimmicky legal ads? I know we are. At Bogan Munz & Munz, we believe that reputation is important and can affect your case's outcome. The courtroom is serious business. There's no time for gimmicks. If you want your case to be taken seriously, we believe you need lawyers that are taken seriously. We don't aim to be the loudest or the biggest. We aim to be the best. No gimmicks, just results.
I'm David Martin from Good Day Orlando, and I'll show you why we love Florida. Now streaming on Fox Local. We Love Florida is your passport to fun. Get exclusive access to thrilling attractions like roller coasters. Plus, places to hike, kayak, and snorkel. Download Fox Local now on your smart TV and binge new episodes of We Love Florida.
Hey, I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense. Okay, we all know you can save money at the grocery store buying generic or store brands. But did you know you could save an average of 40%? CNET compared prices on 20 items and cut the bill from $125 to $75. And that's savings that can add up.
Fox Local is here for you. Stream live news from Fox 35. Watch breaking news, weather forecast, politics, and more, on-demand content, and exclusive shows. Start streaming today. It's all free and it's all on Fox Local.
This fall, Accused returns with an all-new season, and you can stream season 1 anytime. It's the show critics call
Unbelievable.
Accused. All-new season October 1st on Fox, and stream season 1 on Hulu.
Welcome back. 9:45 on this Monday morning. Jessica Dobson and I have been in the Weather Center tracking Hurricane Debby as it makes landfall in the Panhandle, but its reaches all the way here to Orlando.
Big system.
Yeah, big system indeed. Let's take a look outside right now. Pouring in Seminole County, a live view over I-4 from Lake Mary. And people are moving out there, but it is just a rainy morning. Here's a shot from the ground. Same vantage point, just a little bit lower to confirm. Yes, it's cloudy, it's windy. Something's out there, isn't it? And indeed, it is a hurricane in the Panhandle. We're catching a long feeder band which extends from the Gulf of Mexico right through our area into Gainesville, feeding into the center of that area of low pressure. And this will be the case throughout the day today, where generally speaking, it's just going to be rainy, really kind of puddly out there, but we could see a couple of spots where the rain is heavy enough to cause some issues with some street flooding. And there could be 1 or 2 tornado warnings embedded within these cells, a couple of spin-up tornadoes, as we saw in the last hour near the Disney area. None of that verified. There was a wind gust that may have been rotating about 50 or 60 miles per hour, but safety first, right? And inside of these downpours, I mean, it's really coming down. Lake Mary, Altamont Springs, Winter Park, you can attest, this is sort of the heaviest rain we've had so far from the system. And to look at our Fox 35 storm tracker radar, you can just see the 1-minute updates, how quickly this is going, because each frame is 1 minute after the other frame, and it's just really roaring through. You might even be able to hear it on my microphone. When it rains hard, you can hear it aloft up there on the ceiling. All right, kidding aside, we've got our tornado watch in effect until 4 o'clock. Obviously, we've had a couple of warnings today. That is still a possibility this afternoon, so we got to watch that very carefully. We'll be here for you. Hurricane Debby will soon be a tropical storm. Winds of 75 miles per hour. Made landfall near Steinhatchee as a Cat 1, close to 7 a.m. That is Steinhatchee in Taylor County, right on the border of Dixie County. It'll be pushing northeastward toward Georgia as a tropical storm where it'll stall and then dump copious amounts of rain over the Carolinas. So Debbie's legacy will be known as the rainmaker, the flood maker, not so much the wind maker. It was windy. We did have power outages to the north today, and a lot of folks in Marion County can attest power's still out there in some spots, but mostly it's all about the rain, and there's been no shortage of rain. In fact, we got it through 3 o'clock in waves. It's not going to rain all time, all day. It's just going to be periodic rain. You'll drive into it, you'll drive out of it, it'll start pouring, it'll be silent, just like this, and then it'll start pouring again in a second. It's weird. It just turns off and turns off like a shower, literally. We're going to have this through about 6 o'clock, so as you head home from your workday, you're going to be contending with wet roads, no doubt, and what could be some pretty heavy rain. And again, embedded tornadoes can't be ruled out. They'll be weak, they'll be brief, but they'll be present in some of these downpours. And they'll dump anywhere between 2 and as many as 6 or 7 inches of rain around the region, depending on how these downpours set up. So this is additional rain on top of what we've already had, and we've already had reports of over 5 inches of rain across parts of the area. Well, here's a look at those power outages. And Jessica, you know, we've seen anywhere from 14,000 to 20,000 power outages in each county. Look at that, Ocala, Marion County, 24,000 power outages.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. And we've had some strong and gusty winds with some of these showers associated with this hurricane that have been working their way closer to parts of the Nature Coast and have made it, you know, as far inland as Lake County and Marion County. So that's where we do have some of those outages in place. And obviously, some of the more populated areas are helping to make those numbers a little bit higher as well. So that's where we're seeing the worst of the power outages in terms of right now, but we are going to be expecting conditions to steadily and gradually improve as we head over the course of the rest of today. But in terms of power outages and improvements, those are going to be taking place again as we head over the next couple of days as crews continue to work and help to clear any sort of debris that might be left over. I do want to talk about specific storm impacts though, because Dixie, Gilchrist, Levy, and Alachua counties, that's where we're likely going to still see the more significant impacts versus what we have been seeing here over the last, 24 hours or so. We could still expect some gusty winds, isolated tornadoes. We do have that tornado watch in place until 4 o'clock. And again, that flooding rainfall totals around 7 to 12 inches just cumulatively as we continue to see the system wrap up. Other impacts, though, for some of our other counties, Marion, Lake, and Sumter County, that's going to be through tonight. We expect wind gusts still as high as around maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour, isolated tornadoes, and then an additional around 5 inches of rain will be possible in that specific area. And then a little bit further to the east, you'll notice Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, Deltona, Apopka, and then also into Orlando. So that's going to include Flagler, Volusia, Seminole counties, and also Orange County there. That's going to be where we have those wind gusts as high as around maybe closer to 25, 45 miles per hour. It's going to be kind of a range. We do have that wind advisory in place as well. Keep that in mind. So a few more of our counties, this is going to be Osceola County and Brevard County. That's where we also have those scattered downpours that would be possible with totals closer to around 1 to 3 inches. Still, we are going to be expecting those heavy downpours and maybe some gusty winds in excess of around 25 to 35 miles per hour. So just a couple of things to keep in mind as we continue to head throughout the rest of tonight. We are going to steadily see things improve, though, in looking at our 7-day forecast. So this is going to show that we will see the remnants of whatever Debby is going to be left with, or whatever is left of Debby as we head into our Tuesday. That's where we're going to be expecting just a 70% chance of showers and storms, temperatures around 90 degrees, and that's where we're going to be expecting the remnants of that to continue to work their way off to the north and east. All right, we will have much more Good Day Orlando coming up right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense to help you cut your impulse spending. Remove your credit card information from the retail websites where you shop, like Amazon or Walmart. If it's stored, it's just too easy to click and spend. Having to enter your credit card information each time gives you more time to think before you buy.
Backstage Experience goes behind the scenes with everything entertainment.
Every new movie, every new game.
Join us for your first look.
Just in time for the weekend.
Streaming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights at 7 p.m.
Only on Fox Local.
Each member of the Fox 35 Storm Team is a hurricane expert. We know what to look for and what that means for folks on the ground right here in Central Florida. We've got the largest network of weather cameras anywhere in the region. We can see just about every neighborhood, so instead of just showing you the storm on radar, we can actually get down to the ground so you can keep your family safe. When the storms roll in, the Fox 35 Thunder Truck rolls out. You can depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
I'm cleaning up my yard tomorrow. How hot will it be?
If you work outside today, drink plenty of water. It's going to be really hot. Temperatures getting into the upper 90s by this afternoon.
Noah knows. Watch Noah Bergeron weeknights on Fox 35.
Who's got motive?
Why am I the bad guy?
I'm a normal person, I promise.
This fall, Accused returns with an all-new season, and you can stream season 1 anytime.
What happened?
You really want to know?
It's the show critics call
Unbelievable.
I'm gonna fix this, I promise.
I just shot someone. Why are you doing this?
Because I can.
Accused, all-new season October 1st on Fox, and stream season 1 on Hulu.
That's fitting for today, right? Although, honestly, this is better than we've seen in a lot of spots for sure. The girls' lakeside camera looking over Lake Fairview. Some drops on the lens, but it could be much worse based on what we've seen. As we know, Hurricane Debbie's been the story this morning, hitting the Big Bend area and really impacting Florida's Gulf Coast. They saw some flooding even last night. This was shared by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. Deputies patrolled flooded streets in Fort Myers Beach there looking for anyone in need of help. They used a specialized swamp buggy. Remember we talked about they get these pieces of equipment? Well, this is what they use them for, trying to reach people in difficult areas.
So there also is some more video coming out of Fort Myers Beach shared by a frustrated homeowner saying that surveillance video captured, look, a driver going way too fast in a flooded street, because what happens is that causes a wake. That pushes, you know, those floodwaters towards the home. Fort Myers, they saw a lot of flooding yesterday. Debbie's rain bands lashing the state, of course. So yeah, if you are, you know, traveling through one of these areas that is flooded, be aware and be cautious, because you could be impacting somebody else's home with those wakes like
Homeowners very sensitive to that for sure. And we've been talking all morning. Boy, there's a story in the stock market as well. Stocks absolutely tanking right now. That is the Dow Jones Industrial. That is down over 1,000 points. You can see 2.5% to put it in perspective. NASDAQ is down as well. One of the worst days we've had in years. So what's happening? There's a fear of recession. There's concerns about instability in the world. There's just a lot going on. Recessionary fear is probably the biggest driver of this morning, but maybe a day to not check the 401k. Also on the Business Watch, one of the country's biggest banks about wanting to go after federal regulators now.
So we're talking about JP Morgan Chase. They're considering suing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau because the bank accuses the agency of trying to force settlements in fraud cases involving the digital payment app Zelle. Well, JP Morgan Chase is one of 7 banks that owns Zelle. It says it already reimburses for false transactions and scams. JP Morgan says it won't reimburse customers who were tricked into sending money themselves, arguing that could lead to a proliferation of scams.
And the world leader in artificial intelligence, that would be NVIDIA, facing federal scrutiny now. NVIDIA builds the computer chips that power AI. They have become one of the most valuable companies in the world now. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren and 10 progressive groups wanting the Justice Department to investigate NVIDIA. They argue the company should be or could be stifling competition by bundling software and hardware together. NVIDIA's chips, just to give you an idea, using about 80% of the AI market uses. They are wanted all around the world, including parts like China.
Well, Marvel's summer blockbuster continues its record-breaking performance at the box office. We're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine as now the highest-grossing R-rated film, not counting for inflation. It hit nearly $400 million after 2 weeks in theaters. The movie's worldwide sales reached $824 million, beating the previous 2 Deadpool films.
Might be a good day to go to the movie for sure if you want to get out at all, which remember we heard from the governor early, be careful going out with the wet roadways, flooding an issue in many spots, as well as the storm now is moving kind of beyond Florida.
Yeah, and even though it is, more north of us, those outer bands, we are still seeing those impacts. So we are not out of the woods quite yet. Of course, Brooks and Jess are going to stay here all morning long with us to let you guys know what exactly is happening in the next couple of weeks.
We have seen a few dozen flights canceled at OIA. If you're flying, if you've got someone coming in, better to check with them as well, because it's other airports as well. So that's a busy hour coming up, because we've got Good Day Orlando Extra coming up. We're going to focus on the storm for sure. Stay with us.
We Love Florida is now streaming on Fox Local.
Get exclusive access to thrilling attractions like roller coasters!
Download Fox Local now on your smart TV and binge new episodes of We Love Florida.
It's essential to know that you don't have to confront lung cancer alone. Go-To for Lung Cancer is here for you. We are your community. Visit goto.org today.
Mom was always very self-sufficient, but we started noticing things were off.
I was forgetting my responsibilities at work.
I told Mom we should visit a doctor.
Alzheimer's. It was hard to hear that.
Early detection gave us time to seek information and support as a family. I've never felt more connected with Mom.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
And just like that, she starts to grin. The spark of something new begins. There's something in the water. On her own, she's in the zone. Resilience building in her bones. There's something in the water. On and off the boat, she flies. A force of nature on the rise. There's something in the water.
Good Day Orlando Extra on Fox 35 and streaming on the Fox Local app.
What a Monday it's been, and this is Good Day Orlando Extra, which today, Deb's obviously going to have a very much focus on Hurricane Debby.
Yes, we definitely are. We're not on the couch either. We're going to stay on the desk for a little bit because we have a lot to get to this morning because we've been tracking Hurricane Debby. So Category 1 hurricane made landfall about 7 o'clock this morning in Levy County. You might remember this area, Ryan, was actually hit by Hurricane Idalia last year. I remember covering this in Perry, and that area is seeing a lot of the same, impacts as of right now, too. So double whammy for those people.
When they see David Martin, they know that things are bad. He rode this storm out south of Steinhatchee as well in Cedar Key. And David, it's been interesting to see from your perspective because the water has gone down, but boy, at the peak of this, it looked bad.
It certainly did. And I wanted to start the 10 o'clock hour with you high again to give you an aerial perspective of where we've been for the past 12 hours, essentially. This is the corner of 1st Street and Dock Street. We are on the 3rd story of the Island Place condominiums. And I guess about 5 hours ago or so, maybe 6 hours ago, that sign that welcomes you to Island Place, the water level was all the way up to the bottom of the main part there. So it has gone down about, it looks like about 12, 13 inches in the past hour or so. So the low tide's helping. The passing of the storm is certainly helping. So 1st Street and the parking lot for Island Place are starting to reappear, and that is a good sign. Now, we stay high because our cell signal, our broadcast ability is better up high. For some reason, when we get down to the Dock Street level, Gulf level, things get a little dicey for us in terms of our signal. We've had power the entire morning, which is a blessing. We've been able to make sure we had coffee and light, but the water is still off. The running water has been turned off. It was done at midnight last night to ensure the safety, to ensure that the salt water from the Gulf doesn't mix with the water that we drink and use inside the condo. All right, so out here facing west is the Gulf of Mexico. Still churning up something fierce there. Still violent. Not near what it was even an hour ago, and we'll take that. But it just goes to show you how large the storm was going up the Gulf Coast here. Pool deck took a beating. The decking around it is going to need some repair, and it was just repaired from Adalia a few weeks ago. It had been finished. So now they are going to have to do some more surgery on that post-Hurricane Debby. The pool itself is fine. The water will need clearing out. And this is the scene throughout the entire city, where you've got pieces of the property, roofing, gutters, siding, fence parts strewn about. It can be fixed. We took one spin into the historic part of Cedar Key, talked to the owner of the historic Island Hotel, the oldest property here in Cedar Key, built in the mid-1800s. And he had an air of optimism and hope about him. He's like, this is not a Dahlia. We'll take it. So just hopefully this is the only storm that comes through Cedar Key in 2024. Ryan and Deborah will send it back to you in the studio.
David, thanks. Great job as always riding that out. I know you guys spent the night there. You've kept the power, but really appreciate the effort you and Paula both throughout the morning.
Definitely so. All right, let's send things over to Brooks. I believe he's standing by with a look at Hurricane Debby. And Brooks, we can hear the rain coming down from our Fox 35 studios.
Yes, I mean, this hurricane has far-reaching implications. You know, Dixie and Levy County is obviously hours away by car, but I mean, the band of rain extending right into the center of this hurricane goes all the way back to Fort Myers via Orlando, and we're certainly catching it right now with all the characteristics of tropical weather, the heavy rain, the intermittent nature of it, the wind gust to 40, maybe 50 miles an hour, even the occasional possibility of a tornado warning. All right, so in the big picture right now, waves of rain, and I mentioned the hurricane's up here. It's about to become a tropical storm at weekends, but the feeder bands that feed into it extend all the way back from the Gulf through Orlando and up. So we're catching a direct, it's as if the system is sipping a drink, or if you can picture like a lawnmower engine, it's the fuel line that delivers the gasoline to the chambers to get the engine running. That's essentially what a hurricane is. It's a heat engine, and instead of feeding off gasoline, it's feeding off of warm water and tropical air. So we're right in line with that, and along that, we're catching the rain. We're catching a lot of that moisture falling from the sky, so it's pouring right now from Ocoee to Altamont Springs. We had waves of rain coming in. It's not pouring constantly for an hour, but for maybe 15 minutes out of that hour, intermittently it's pouring. And if you're getting 4 inches of rain per hour, you can get a quick inch in an hour. And if it does this all day, you can get 5 or 6 inches, no problem at all. In fact, we've got some flash flood warnings west of Claremont right now, once you get into the Tampa Bay region. Heaviest rain local to Seminole counties in Heathrow, back through Ethel and Apopka, south of Apopka, Lake Monroe up through Deltona. Farther south and west, the heavy rain's traceable all the way through Orlando, Orla Vista, Gotha, Windermere. I know a lot of folks in Orla Vista are very, very storm weary from flooding. So hopefully you can get out from underneath this without, flooding. But watching that out for you, of course, we're monitoring it, and hopefully we get through the day without that. Also hoping we get through the day without a tornado. We've got a tornado watch in effect for our region, with the exception of Brevard County, until 4 o'clock. That's because conditions are favorable. What happens with these hurricanes is that you get a south flow at the surface in this orientation and an east flow aloft, and it creates a spin. And the spin right now, Category 1 hurricane there in the Big Bend, and it's heading into Georgia. This is not going to be remembered so much for its wind impacts. Obviously, David Martin still has power there on Cedar Key. It will be remembered for its legacy of flooding from heavy rain. And as it moves into the Carolinas, it's going to stall, and it's going to dump up to 20 inches of rain there. Historic flooding, unfortunately. As far as we're concerned, we're going to be under its influence of this rain through the rest of this afternoon, some of it heavy at times, but finally, once we get to tonight, it'll start to dissipate. But as long as these bands of rain are in the area, we're going to have to watch them for tornadoes. Guys, back to you.
All right, Brooks, thank you. We'll get another check with you of the weather here in just a little bit. But first, we want to go out to Lake County, where the sheriff's deputies will escort the body of Master Deputy Bradley Link from the medical examiner's office to the funeral.
Such an important day for them, and they're doing this in the middle of the storm. Deputy Link, of course, was killed Friday in that ambush in the home in rural Eustis Friday night. 2 other deputies are still in the hospital. This is a live look from Leesburg at the processional. It's getting underway there. Deputy Bradley Link, just 28 years old. He leaves behind a wife life. He started as a young explorer in high school before joining the sheriff's office back in 2019. And Matt Trezza now is going to give us a live report coming up from this morning's vigil. He is out there with that processional, so we will continue to track that. But again, a very important day for Lake County.
And also, speaking of Lake County, this just in, officials say 911 is experiencing outages because of Hurricane Debby. They say if you need to call 911, call the county's non-emergency line you see right on your screen. It's 352-343-2101. Again, that's on your screen right now. So their 911 dispatch is having some problems, so call the county's non-emergency number.
I want to show you some new video. It shows how Hurricane Debby just battered Florida's Gulf Coast. This is on Sunday. Video taken Anna Marina Island over in Manatee County as it was moving up the Gulf Coast. People along the coast were encouraged to evacuate before Debby's arrival.
And this is some video out of Sarasota County. Strong winds and heavy rain causing areas there to flood. The county also experiencing storm surge. Sarasota received 9 inches of rain on Sunday. That's a new record for daily rainfall happening in August.
Residents in Lee County also impacted by the hurricane. I mean, this is all across the state in different ways they're impacted. Heavy rain from Debby causing some flooding there. Look at, it looks like it's a road, but it looks like it's a river out there. And we've seen, like in David's situation, Cedar Key, some of that water did recede.
Not an area you want to see that, though, because of course they went through a lot with Hurricane Ian. So
exactly
seeing that go through it again is tough.
Last thing they want to see. Meanwhile, the number of power outages, this is the good news. It's much less than what we have seen. The governor saying we were in the millions with past storms, about 100,000 without power. Not good news if you're one of the 100,000, but this has not been a big power outage event. That is one small piece of silver lining, if you will.
And the other piece of that too, Ryan, is that they do have so many crews on standby to help out. So I don't think it'll take long once it's safe to get that power restored. Now, if you are flying out today, be sure to check the status of your flight, because the flight status board for Orlando International Airport is lighting up with cancellations, also delays. And the good news is parking lots are wide open. Wait times are in the single digits. OIA responding to our assignment desk saying that they are operational, they are open, but they are asking people to check with your individual airline to see if your flight is flying out today.
Yeah, they don't make that call. I've been on their site most of the morning, and they have had dozens of flights canceled, but the majority are getting out. It's all different. I mean, from Florida to Buffalo, New York, it just depends. They are canceled all over the country.
Yeah, and especially if you're traveling along the East Coast, too, you might notice a lot more weather impacts because of the storm that's
a lot of these planes don't want to fly into a spot that is in that path.
I don't know if I'd want to be a passenger on that plane either, because the turbulence might be really rough. So there's that. All right, we are going to, I think, take a break now.
The orchestra's playing. It means it's time for a break. We're going to check in with Brooks in just a little bit. We continue to track a lot of images, and that's the image we've seen really all morning throughout Central Florida. If you are heading out, watch for wet roadways, maybe some water in spots you would not expect it. We'll be back.
The stage is set. There are clues everywhere.
What the heck is that? You guys are all missing the biggest clue.
Hello, Central Florida. It's Allison Gargaro. I've picked up right where we left off, here in the kitchen, and I have so many new recipes to share with you. Head over to the Fox Local app and search Allison's Cooking Diary.
Hi, I'm Peyton Manning, and I'm partnering with the American Red Cross this year to tackle blood shortages. Giving blood's important because every 2 seconds, someone actually needs blood, and unfortunately, only like 3% of the U.S. population donates. So we have to step up to give and to make sure there's plenty of blood available for those in need. Visit redcrossblood.org to get in the game and make an appointment to give.
You want to be a lifeguard? This is the real deal.
When you're on a holiday,
this is more than just a job. It's life.
On an island in the sun, we'll be playing and having fun.
I thought you said this job was easy.
Welcome back. Busy morning right now. Hurricane Debby moving across Florida and into Georgia. The storm has left a trail of destruction behind, really starting yesterday up north in Florida.
Absolutely. And even a possible tornado left damage in an RV park last night. We know the National Weather Service is still investigating whether that actually was a possible tornado, or was it straight line winds or just really strong winds. So Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie is live there now. We actually we were able to hear from the owners of one of the trailers that flipped over. Their dog was stuck inside, Tucker, and thankfully they've all been reunited.
RVs in the Sunrise Palm RV Park here in Cocoa flipped over last night during the storm from those outer bands. And what I'm standing on right now is the gravel of where the RV was sitting, but flipped multiple times. This was where their front door was, and now it is still upside down over here. And yes, a 2-year-old dog named Tucker was trapped inside. His owners had just gone to the grocery store and came back at about 10 to 15 minutes later, and Tucker was nowhere to be found inside. And then she was worried, terrified of what could have happened to her baby. And come to find out that the neighbor next door saw all of this happen, saw all of these RVs flip over, and she immediately said, "We have to help." So she and her husband came out to tend to the dog. They found him okay inside. Take a listen to what the couple had to say about it.
Really risked their lives to get him out due to electricity and everything that was still on. It was dangerous. Inside of there, it looks like a tornado ripped through the inside. So I'm surprised that he made it through several flips inside of his home.
And as she mentioned, it looked like potentially the work of a tornado. But we do know that there were some really strong wind gusts last night between 60 to 65 miles per hour. So it's also a suspected case of straight line winds. But that will be determined by the National Weather Service ultimately. Now, on the other side of this RV is another trailer. And this is where an elderly man lived. He was also trapped inside this trailer when it flipped over. It has now been pulled back upright. But that same neighbor that rescued the dog inside was able to get inside here to rescue that man and call 911, and he was taken to the hospital to be treated for his injuries. We are still working to get an update on him, but ultimately very lucky people here today that this wasn't worse than it was, because at the time the electricity was on, the water was gushing because it damaged some of the lines. So I mean, the folks that really worked to become heroes and save that dog and that man risked a lot to be able to make a difference here in their community. And now it's just a matter of that community coming together to support each other, knowing that several folks here have lost their home and a lot of their belongings as well. So we'll keep you updated on the status of how this all pans out and the cleanup process moving forward. For now, reporting live in Cocoa, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Amanda, thanks. Great job out there today, and really incredible images coming out of there. This is in from Marion County, by the way. Several recycling facilities, they're closed because of power outages. We talked about not widespread outages, but there are many out there. Marion County officials say the facilities will be temporarily closed until further notice. So keep that in mind, the Marion County recycling centers.
Yeah. Well, Good Day Orlando Extra will return after this short break. Don't go anywhere because we have you covered.
Central Florida is unique. The weather around here can go from gorgeous to dangerous in only a matter of minutes. We stay long hours, morning to night, watching what's coming, keeping you safe. I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Jessica Dobson, and you can depend on me.
All day, every day.
Fox 35 News is now 24/7 only on Fox Local.
No more When's the News On, because we're always streaming.
7 days a week, whenever you want us.
Just grab your remote and turn on Fox Local.
Your news, your weather, your way.
The news never stops, and we don't either. Uninterrupted, unmatched coverage.
We're taking local news to the next level.
Fox 35 News is always on Fox Local.
Let's go! Like Deadpool and Wolverine, you can be a hero.
Now that's a superhero landing.
Save a best friend for life at a shelter near you.
Us? A team? The answer is yes. Yeah! Look at you! She's coming with us!
No, she's not.
Oh, yes.
Visit bestfriends.org today and bring love home.
That's my girl!
All day, every day.
Fox 35 News is now 24/7 only on Fox Local.
7 days a week, whenever you want us.
We're taking local news to the next level.
Fox 35 News is always on Fox Local.
Welcome back. Well, we are tracking Hurricane Debby right now. The storm has made landfall in the Big Bend area, and we, of course, will have live team coverage all morning long, letting you know what impacts you could continue to see. But switching gears this morning, let's go ahead and talk about some romance and love. So right now, we are more than 6 months away from Valentine's Day, so there is a push to help couples out. This week is actually National Resurrect Romance Week. How about that? Colette Jane is here for some advice, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist and also a relationship expert. First off, thanks so much for coming in, especially on a day like today. I'm glad you're here safe.
Thank you, and
yes.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me a little bit about this week, National Resurrect Romance Day. What is it?
So it developed in 1995 as an alternative to Valentine's Day because we really need to prioritize our relationships throughout the year, not just one day a year. And there are a few simple practices you can do to boost connection and reignite the spark.
Okay, and what are those things?
So the first thing is touch, and specifically non-sexual touch. It's really important to differentiate the two, and that physical affection is not always linked to pressure or expectation for sex. So I have a magic formula for you, which is a 6-second kiss, a 20-second hug, and 10 minutes of cuddling a day. This is research-based.
Yeah, okay.
And this is just the right dose to boost oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone, and reduce cortisol, which is the stress hormone, making you feel much closer.
Okay, got it. Now, you know, as far as couples that might say, ugh, we're not on a great track, no matter what year of marriage they're on, what are some of your first advice, you know, that you would give to them, essentially?
Yeah, in addition to increasing touch, I would suggest expressing appreciation daily. Everyone needs a minimum of 5 positive positives for one negative to feel loved. So it's not just saying I appreciate you globally, it's really being specific. Pay attention to those little things your partner does throughout the day, like, hey, I noticed you emptied the dishwasher without me having to ask you. That was so helpful, thank you. That makes your partner really feel seen and valued, and will also enhance the overall fondness and admiration in the relationship.
Okay, so we have let them know you appreciate them. Non-sexual touch. Not that it was non-physical. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
Physical, non-sexual.
And then what's the third one?
Okay, and so the third one I love, it's having a new adventure together.
Okay.
So this really reignites the spark and boosts attraction because the brain craves novelty. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something elaborate or expensive. It's as simple as exploring a new hiking trail or trying a new cuisine or having some kind of new activity like pickleball or goat yoga.
Right.
It's just about doing something new where you laugh, you bond, and you play. We need to have more fun with our partners to keep the connection alive.
You know, and I think there's going to be maybe some different marriage advice for depending on where you're at in your marriage and
Sure.
how long you've been together. So what you would give to a very newlywed couple might be different than what you're going to give to maybe a couple that's been married for, 20, 30, 40 years. So what is the different advice that you would give? If you're a newlywed right now, what would be the advice that you would give to make sure that they can continue to keep the romance alive? It probably already is pretty alive at that point, right? But maybe they might need a little bit of help.
You're getting into good habits. I really think these things are the same for everyone. It's just during the newlywed stage, you're basically high on love, and you have so many neurochemicals firing that you don't have to do much to feel the spark. Sure. But if you get into good habits at that point, then they'll last you throughout the lifespan of the relationship, and you won't have to work so hard to catch up later.
And then how about for the couples that are in their 20, 30, 40 years of marriage?
Yeah, make it a priority.
Yeah.
Put your phones away, make eye contact, ask each other open-ended experiential questions like, tell me something you're proud of that's been happening in your life lately. Are you worried about anything? Is there anything I could do to better meet your needs? We stop asking each other these things and we kind of become roommates sometimes.
Yeah, I've heard that from people.
Yeah, so it's really important to get conversation going, touch one another in both sexual and non-sexual ways, and continue to have fun.
Date nights.
Yeah.
Date nights are very important.
Yes, but don't let them be stale. Make them inventive, and even if it means going to a different restaurant every time you go out. Couples fall into a rut and we get kind of bored.
Yeah.
So don't let it go stale.
Okay, there you go. Well, thanks so much for your advice today, Colette. Appreciate you for coming in on such a busy weather day. But of course, hey, we all need to learn a little thing or two when it comes to the romance department. So appreciate you. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Ryan, I'm going to send things over to you.
All right, Deborah, sounds good. Good conversation there. We've got a lot more coming your way across the break. Of course, really looking at impacts from the hurricane throughout the state of Florida. There's a live look from the Kia Center. welcome back. 10:29. You were just talking, today is early voting in Orange County, but it is lost in all this, things that you just don't even have time to get to because of Hurricane Debby, certainly wreaking havoc on Florida's Big Bend area and a lot of the state. We watch now flooding really from South Florida throughout parts of North Florida.
Yeah, and it's impacting, you know, not just the path it went up, but really the entire state,
Absolutely.
like you were saying. So Hurricane Debby made landfall earlier this morning in Levy County. We're going to send things back out to David Martin, who is live in Cedar Key this morning. And David, what are you experiencing right now? Has water level started to go down a little bit? It looks like maybe a little.
Yep, things are turning around here for the better. Behind me is the Gulf of Mexico. We've been showing you all morning long the churning waters that when light came up, it was intense about 4 hours ago. And below us here is the pool deck at the Island Place condominiums on 1st Street here in Cedar Key. They're going to need to do some work on that decking. We lost some pieces there. Paolo, our cameraman this morning, about half an hour ago, spotted a manatee right there in the Gulf, peeking his or her nose up into the air. So, you know, you never know what kind of marine life might pop up on shore or be close to us here as a result of the storm. But things have definitely calmed down. Out there on Dock Street, you can see the way the water's kicking up over the street there. It's still windy as heck down there. And the palm trees behind that motel, they're still horizontal. So it's surprising to me how many hours have passed since, you know, the eastern eye wall approached Cedar Key. And what? Now it's well into Florida and heading into Georgia, and we're still feeling the effects of it. Let's take a trip downstairs here. And as we do, let me show you the east side of the building. Oh, it's still spitting out here. I should have worn my jacket. There's the parking lot, and there's 1st Street of Cedar Key. And still underwater, for the record. We'll go down one more flight. By the way, this little condominium we stayed at, strong, very strong. Although I will say, we felt the building shake when the storm came through from 8 till about 6 p.m. The entire foundation was just swaying. It made for a particularly rough night of sleep. Not a lot of sleep. We weren't expecting that, of course. Not a problem, though, as we show you what's happening here in beautiful Cedar Key, a staycation getaway for a lot of Floridians because it's gorgeous. It's a fishing town. We've got great restaurants and bars overlooking the Gulf when that sun sets. And this is, by the way, we rescued our truck, our news truck. It was parked overnight on high elevation. Not a problem. That's where a lot of the locals put their golf carts and their own vehicles. They find higher ground. There are some streets that go up a hill. And we haven't seen a lot of people, which means a lot of them did heed the warning, the mandatory evacuation of 8 p.m. on Saturday night. Not all did, and those who didn't, they've been out searching for various parts of their houses that blew away because we're seeing a lot of siding, roofing, fencing, and gutters and whatnot, things that they might have lost throughout the evening. Generally speaking, though, the overall vibe is, all right, I think we dodged a bullet here. This is not near as bad as the Dahlia was, but man, this is an early hurricane, right? Not a lot make landfall in this early August, so is it a sign of things to come? I hope not, but it might be. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
That's a great point. You've covered many, David.
Yeah, we can actually see the parking lines in those parking spots. Earlier this morning, we definitely couldn't see those, that's for sure. So things are hopefully getting better. But we're going to check in with Brooks Gardner, who's standing by with an updated look at Hurricane Debby. Hey, Brooks.
Hi there. Well, as of 8 a.m., the hurricane has made its landfall. That officially happening at 7 a.m. at Steinhatchee, and now it's in its weakening stage, heading toward its inevitability as a tropical storm, Debby. So the worst is over as far as it making its impact there. As you saw in David's shot, things are improving rapidly, but its legacy will continue to be a big rainmaker for the southeast. For us here locally across central Florida, we are under tropical storm warnings as close as Lake County as well as into Marion County for winds that could continue today to gust beyond 40 miles per hour at times. Now, another feature with this system is the rain beyond the wind. We've got winds right now at about 25 miles per hour, but the thing you'll notice today, of course, is what's going on outside. And what is going on outside is a boatload of rain falling. First off, here's a live view from the SunTrust camera, which is bouncing around in the wind. It's clearly quite windy outside, as you can imagine, with gusts there, especially at higher elevations above the building at about 20 to 40 miles per hour. Now, we're catching a break in the action in Winter Park right now, but we've got some very heavy rain here in the Kissimmee area rolling northeastward. And in doing so, it will impact OIA over the next, say, 15 to 20 minutes. These downpours are moving moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So while things right now in Lake Nona are generally quiet, that will change as this downpour rolls that way. It'll get pretty wet here on 417. In fact, it could actually slow down traffic for a time. This is just a plain old rainy day right now, but the problem is that we've got a tornado watch in effect, meaning tornadoes are possible across our viewing area for most of the day today. It expires at 4 p.m. So inside of some of these tropical downpours, we've seen rotation. And in the rotation, there have been occasional tornado warnings where the National Weather Service says, you know, there's a possibility this thing is spitting up. We got to watch it carefully. And so we're going to continue to do so because with this orientation, as we look at our Fox 35 storm tracker radar here out of Bithlo, where our radar site is, we can trace the feeder bands all the way from Fort Myers up into the Gainesville area where the center of that circulation is located. And so we're going to be in this area of rain for at least the afternoon. And in fact, it could get pretty stormy at times, and we may have breaks at other times in the rain. So it's not going to be like an all-day situation or an all-day rain. But as far as future rain goes, let me show you the big picture on this, in the big picture with the spin. You can see it as it's heading up toward the panhandle there. But we've got a pretty decent chance at some pretty heavy rain coming in waves right through the middle of the afternoon. And it's in these waves that we could see wind gusts over 40 miles per hour and embedded tornadoes. So we're going to make sure we're on top of it for you. We'll let you know. We'll break into programming if something happens. But just stay weather aware today. Stay close to weather warnings, even if it's your cell phone. You know, the cell phone carrier will usually push a warning to you, or download the free Fox 35 Storm Team app. That's also a great thing. That'll push warnings to you, and you can get the latest forecast, of course. But through 6 o'clock, through commute time, we may still be contending with some downpours, and that could slow us down on the way home. Overall, the influence of Debby will slowly start to dissipate, whereas its circulation pushes into Georgia and the Carolinas, we'll escape that feeder band location from where we currently reside. And so we'll still see a chance for some downpours through tonight, and this is the map for 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. I mean, it's entirely possible that we have a couple of downpours tonight, and even the chance for 1 or 2 spin-up tornadoes. So we've got to make sure we're on alert for that. That possibility today is a Fox 35 storm alert day for that potential. 80% chance for rain, our high 87 degrees. Tomorrow the rain chances will be lower at 70%, and ultimately as we head into the weekend, we'll have a more typical summertime setup with afternoon storms and a 60% chance for rain. So I think the legacy of this system won't be so much the wind, although it has been quite windy as we saw there in Cedar Key and up on the Nature Coast, but instead it'll be the rain. This will be a big rainmaker. Hopefully we can avoid the flooding across our region. All right, that is a look at the forecast update. Ryan and Deborah, I'll toss it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Brooks. We'll stick around because we've got more Good Day Orlando Extra coming up after this short break.
Here in Central Florida, our weather is always changing. I know how important quality time is with your family. I will not waste your time. It's a great day to have a good day. Join me on Good Day Orlando. You can depend on me.
Amy, honey, I just love Fox Local.
You can check out Fox Local too and stream Fox 35 News. Download it now on your smart TV.
This is my favorite show.
Miles, you're late. Again.
You are not living
Where have you been?
your full potential.
No sense of responsibility.
Everyone's going through something, even superheroes.
Is that the best you can do? This mediocre work is
You're not reaching your full potential. Unacceptable, Miles.
Let's take the stigma out of asking for help.
Hey, Dad. You got a minute?
Yeah, what's up, son?
If you need support, visit kevinlovefund.org to learn more.
I just got so much on my mind, you know?
Shining the light on unsolved crimes.
This person needs to be behind bars.
Searching for answers.
How do you have closure with a loved one no longer here? No human being deserves this.
We keep reliving that night every day, and it's hard.
And looking for clues.
The risk is that somebody that's guilty gets off free, and we do not want that.
Inside Central Florida's True Crime Files, streaming now on Fox Local.
this week, parents and kids are preparing to head back to school. But one question that often doesn't get answered until the last minute during the hectic week is, what are we going to eat for dinner?
All right, it's the hassle of deciding what to cook, finding the time to go to the grocery store. This morning, though, we're joined by a special guest who will make cooking dinner for the family a lot easier. Michelle, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. Okay, so what do we have here? It looks like we have 3 different meals. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I like to do at the beginning of, well, on Saturday of each week is plan out my dinner menu.
Got it.
And I try to find ways that I can use one protein a couple different times because it cuts down on the days that I have to cook.
Nice. Right.
So here I made chicken tenderloins, 3 different dishes. Okay. So this is going to be a half and half rice bowl. So it's half cauliflower rice, half regular rice, and then I've got crispy chicken tenders that I made in the air fryer, which is also very quick.
And
it's only 12 minutes.
Battered with?
You're not going to believe it, but it's cereal.
Cereal?
Really? Yeah, cornflakes.
I have seen recipes with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and it tastes good.
Delicious.
Awesome.
Super crunchy, just perfect consistency.
Okay.
And then here I just did a taco that has a little bit of veggie slaw. So it's got tricolored cabbage. It's got a little bit of shredded broccoli in there. And then there's a homemade sauce that I make all the time that my kids love that go in there as well.
Okay.
And then the chicken in both of these is a honey lime chicken tender. So it's a little bit different than this one, but even quicker. That's only 10 minutes.
And you make the honey lime sauce yourself?
It's just fresh lime juice and then honey.
Literally, that's it.
That's it.
So you're done for the week then, on the weekend at that point?
So this is 3 different nights.
Right.
And 1 2-pound pack of chicken tenders is realistically for a family of 6. So what I normally do is I've got 2 kids. So me and my husband and my 2 kids will have that for one night. And then the next day, my husband and I have the leftovers for lunch.
Okay.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling us earlier in the commercial break, you have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
I do.
And so are they picky eaters?
Yes.
Yeah. And
very.
so how do you deal with that, knowing that maybe dad likes a different meat, you like a different meat, and the kids like something different?
So on Saturdays, I spend an hour planning all of that out. So I think about the things that I know my son doesn't like, I know my daughter doesn't like, and I try to make adjustments to what I would normally make. So, for example, if I was going to make rice and beans, I would do rice with corn or something like that to try to switch it up. And then there's only certain meats that I know each person is going to eat, so I try to just stick to that. Like, we don't really cook potatoes because my son is not going to eat that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much
This all smells amazing. What happens when Thursday rolls around?
Yeah. Well, we always try to have one fun night, so we do order out at least once.
Okay.
So we'll either do like sushi or pizza, or we'll make pizzas, which is like super quick. So.
Right. And the kids seem to love it. Now, how about hubby? He knows he's going to get fed, so that's good.
So I think that he actually only married me because I can cook.
Is that true?
I plead the fifth.
So yeah, he's not that picky. I mean, he generally likes everything I make. So
yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if this is an example, I can see why he's happy.
Yeah. Now, how long would you say, so you said it takes you about an hour to prepare your recipes and the meals.
Yeah.
How long would you say it takes you to actually cook each of these meals?
So this meal takes about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then these 2 is about 15 to 17.
And I think the one thing that I always found with cooking, it's the prep. It's the cutting the onions, cutting the carrots, cutting the cucumbers. That sometimes takes the longest.
Yes.
Not necessarily putting it in the oven.
Yeah.
Right?
So what I would normally do is I'll season up my chicken, and while that's in the air fryer, that's when I chop.
Right.
Or if I'm making rice, like sometimes I do it in the microwave because I know that's quicker. And rice in the microwave, I don't know if that's taboo or not, but I've been doing that for like 10 years.
And it works.
So yeah, it works. It's great. Perfect consistency every single time.
So what's your advice for someone that wants to start this? Start simple?
Yeah.
Definitely take your time. Use Pinterest, but take your time on Saturday because that's, the day that most people don't work, and plan out your meals. And then use Sunday to take some time away and use that as your me time to go to the grocery store. That's what I do. I love it. That's my routine, and I'm not ever going to turn away from that. But yeah, that's my advice. Just start planning out your meals. And check out my page too if you'd like.
Yeah,
for some meal
what is your
recipes.
page?
It's I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's _Michelle Made It _ and I post like my weekly dinner menu. I also post like cookie recipes because kids love to make cookies, of course. And then the recipes for the meals that I list on the menu.
What would you real quick suggest parents, because they're going to start making lunches soon too?
Yes.
What are some fast, quick meals that you can say would be really good for lunches besides peanut butter and jelly?
Yes. So I don't know if a lot of kids are eating salads right now. My kids like salad, which is weird. But if you get little mason jars, you can prep things like that, like the dense salads with like a meat, maybe a chickpea, and then whatever leafy green. And then thermostat's your best friend. Also, you know, you could put the chicken in the thermostat and then just wrap up your tortillas in foil, and then it's like Chipotle. As soon as you get to the lunch table, you can just unwrap it and kind of put everything together.
Make your own.
Bad idea.
Well, Michelle, thanks for coming in. These are great ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
Really appreciate it. And then they can find your stuff on Instagram, like you said. _ made by Michelle?
It's _ Michelle made it _
Got it.
Yeah.
2 underscores. Yes. Don't forget that. All right. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. And don't go anywhere, everybody, because we've got more coming up after this short break.
First on the scene.
Chlorine gas.
Fall back! Ladder 126, you copy.
911 Lone Star premieres September 23rd on Fox. If you recently bought a smart TV or plan to, make sure you download the Fox Local app. It's a free and easy way to connect to Fox 35 News. Browse through Central Florida's top videos, watch Fox 35 News, plus check out original stories you can only get here. Also, click on the weather dashboard icon to get your storm tracker radar forecast right away. Fox Local, it's got something for everyone. So make sure it's one of the apps on your smart TV.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first-round draft pick. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
Welcome back. Well, right now, law enforcement officers from around Central Florida are honoring a fallen deputy.
Lake County Sheriff's deputies will escort the body of Master Deputy Bradley Link from the medical examiner's office to the funeral home. Matt Trezza joining us from Lake County. And Matt, obviously a lot of emotions for all involved in that department.
Yes, absolutely. A very, very difficult time for the Lake County Sheriff's Office, but they're all coming together today to honor and the memory of one of their own, Bradley Link. Just a very, very tough time. Not probably as many people as might normally be out here because probably due to the bad weather, but certainly a solid showing from the Lake County Sheriff's Office, all there gathered at the funeral home, awaiting the funeral procession as it travels here from Leesburg. We're expecting clearly a lot more deputies, a lot more of a law enforcement presence to show up here. They've started closing off the roads in the area to let the procession continue unimpeded to this spot. And just some background on Master Deputy Sheriff Bradley Link. He was just 28 years old. He started as a young explorer in high school before joining the sheriff's office in 2019. He responded to a disturbance call in Eustis on Friday, and when deputies entered the home, they were met with what's described as a hail of gunfire. Link was shot and trapped inside the house, later rushed to a hospital where unfortunately he was pronounced dead. Now, 2 more deputies were also shot during that ambush in Eustis. They are still at HCA Florida Lake Monroe Hospital. Deputy Harold Howell was shot in the arm when he and Link entered the home. Howell is in stable condition and had surgery on Saturday. Deputy Stefano Gargano has had 2 surgeries so far, a 3rd scheduled for today. He is in critical condition. He was part of the officer rescue unit that went into the home to save Deputy Link. But today and at this moment, it is all about the honoring the life and legacy of Deputy Bradley Link, the first deputy to lose his life in the line of duty at the Lake County Sheriff's Office since February of 2005. We are going to stay on this story, bring you more later today on Fox 35 News at 5 and 6. We're live in Claremont. Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
Very latest on Hurricane Debby.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hurricane Debby right now, it has made landfall as of 7 a.m. in Steinhatchee. That's in Taylor County, right on the Dixie County line, a community of about 525 people, according to the latest census. It's moving northeastward, and it's starting to lose steam as forecast. It's going to become a tropical storm later today. It is going to be remembered not so much for the wind, even though they had wind impacts. Sustained winds at the time of landfall, as recorded, about 80 miles per hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. We actually didn't have much in the way of observations there because, believe it or not, the wind gauge at Horseshoe Beach just down the road from Steinhatchee blew away during Hurricane Idalia. It hasn't been replaced. That was last season. So it's interesting to see the lasting legacy of some of these previous storms. Idalia was a major hurricane, remembered for its wind. This one likely remembered more for its rain. It's a much rainier system, and as it slowly tracks northeastward, it is likely to essentially stall over the coastal Carolinas and produce some pretty intense rain here over the low country and Midlands and South Carolina, up into the Piedmont of North Carolina. All the while, we're going to be in a zone here where we have rain that'll last through today and maybe even tonight. And embedded in some of the rain wrapping around this hurricane, soon to be tropical storm, we could have a couple of spin up and briefly lived tornadoes. We've had a couple of warnings through the morning today, nothing as of late, but we've got to watch these bands where you see the yellows and the reds, because while they may not look as impressive on radar as a typical summertime afternoon thunderstorm here in Florida, it's a different kind of rain. It's like much smaller drops, many more of them because it's a tropical downpour, and it's a lot heavier rain. So it's just a real soaking rain. And so it doesn't show up quite as bright on radar maybe, but I can tell you it's just as heavy, if not heavier, than those really big downpours we get in the summertime here. And that said, if we catch wave after wave of these, we can see accumulations today that will exceed 3 to 5 inches. Now, our flood warnings and flash flood warnings in the Tampa Bay region continue through midday. They've had copious amounts of rain overnight in many locations, over 8 inches, and then just the added rain now has nowhere else to run off. Right now, we're starting to see some big downpours moving out of OIA into Lake Nona and pushing into Alafaya, Chuliota, Geneva, eventually Lake Harney, Bithlo, Wedgefield, and Christmas. So eastern Orange County about to get some wind here. It's blowing as well. You know, this downpour is producing wind gusts over 40 miles an hour. So that is a sign certainly of the tropical moisture in place. And we're going to be contending with these downpours for at least the next probably 12 hours, maybe 18 hours, maybe carrying us into tomorrow morning intermittently. It's not going to rain all day, just a chance for it all day. 80% chance for rain today and a lower chance as we head into the end of the week, more of a typical summertime setup. All right, Ryan and Deborah will be here all day long, keeping you covered in case anything should pop up.
All right, we can count on you, Brooks. Thank you.
We've, of course, been tracking with David as well. He was in Cedar Key. We saw the water be very high for a while. Let's check back in with David now and see what the latest is. David, they avoided, it seems like, the wind damage, which is certainly good news.
It is good news. This is not Idalia and nor the storm before that. The storm before that. Cedar Key gets hit a lot, unfortunately. And even a summertime thunderstorm will cause flooding. But by the way, I'd like to show you the fact that this attracts attention from our Fox affiliate friends in Miami. That's SVN, Channel 7. They drove all the way up here to cover the storm because, 24 hours ago, 36 hours ago, we sort of knew that Hurricane Debby was going to make landfall somewhere around here on the Big Bend, right? And Cedar Key certainly took a hit, but they were strong, but not catastrophic. Partly because it was way offshore, but as you can see, and I think we can get a shot. There's off Dock Street down there. You can see that the winds are still picking up. We can't even walk down there. It's not comfortable to walk down there. It's almost painful. We lose parts of our equipment and our hats and whatnot. But you can see the flag. It looks like a potential Trump flag or something there. It's really blowing. So I don't need to go down, right? It'll calm down eventually. But if I walk this way down the dock, this is the Island Place condominiums, by the way, very popular spot. A lot of our friends from Facebook have gotten on and said, oh my, I stay there all the time when I go to Cedar Key. It's a great property, strong and resilient from storms, but it's going to take some time to clean this mess up. By the way, that is the volunteer fire department. Notice how they keep the garage doors slightly open there. It's probably to let airflow go through there, and so that they're not creating any kind of vacuum. And this is the big bridge, the recently constructed bridge that takes you up to Dock Street. But as you can see, it's a ghost town right now. I'm actually surprised, and what I don't know is, I'm afraid to ask, is the main bridge to the town off the main highway closed down. We haven't been able to get any kind of verification on that, but I will. No one's out. The looky-loos are not here, and those who have walked around say, we're okay. This is a couple of days of cleanup, some hammer and nails, some loose parts, get them back on the buildings. We're back open for business. We got some summertime left here in Cedar Key. Got to take advantage of that for sure. I'm going to send it back to you there, Ryan and Deb.
That's a good point, David. That's for sure.
David, good stuff out there in Cedar Key. Tell us a little bit about, we're going to check back in a little bit. We just saw that image with Lake County where they've got the processional coming up as well. That is starting. We're going to have full coverage of that throughout the day as well. This is the live processional, of course, for the master deputy that lost his life on Friday, Deputy Link, and a very emotional time for them. They have not let a hurricane coming through today stop them from honoring him. And what we always see, Deb, is people from across the country and across the state show up for these. I mean, we saw different sheriffs and everyone there on Friday night. They are there today supporting Lake County as well.
I know Governor Ron DeSantis also sending his condolences to the families, not only of Sheriff Deputy there, Sheriff Link there, but also to the whole Sheriff's Department, because they've lost somebody that they considered a brother. So, of course, we're going to continue to stay on top of this story. Always head to our website because we do have more information out there, Fox35Orlando.com.
Let's hope the weather holds for them. Thanks for joining us today. We'll have the latest tonight at Fox 35 News.
When people stop me to ask, what's my case worth, here's what I tell them. All law firms are not the same. You see, the most important part of anyone's injury case is the firm you hire. The insurance company knows exactly which firms fight for full value and which firms will settle your case for pennies on the dollar. Our firm has recovered billions and billions and billions. $3 billion last year alone. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.